Hello everyone. Today our discussion is more on BIR forms and other documentation. So this module 17 first part, and we are going to discuss the BIR application forms, the remittance forms, the income tax return of individuals, and the income tax return of partnership and corporation. So let's start. So let's start the BIR application forms. So they are the following: Form 1901, 1905, 1906, and 1900. So BIR Form 1901 is an application for registration. It is for self-employed, single proprietor or professional, mixed income individual, non-resident alien, engaged in trade or business, estate, and trust. So this is a form to be accomplished when you are doing or just starting a business or opening a new branch for registration. So you need to file Form 1901. So filing date is on or before commencement of new business or before payment of any tax due or before filing a return. Next is we have the Form 1905. So it is an application for registration, information update, correction, cancellation. So this form is to be accomplished by all taxpayers who intend to update or change any data or information. So filing date is file each time taxpayer need to register the change in registration, such as but not limited to change in registered activities, change in tax type details, replacement of lost SIM card, lost certificate of registration, cancellation, or registration, and or TIN. Okay, next is we have the Form 1906. So this is an application for authority to print receipt and invoices. So this form is to be accomplished by all taxpayers every time printing of receipt and invoices is needed. So filing date is to be filed each time taxpayer needs to print receipt and invoices. So we also have BIR Form 1900. So this is an application for authority to use computerized accounting system or components of. So it is a loose leaf books of account. This form is to be accomplished by all taxpayers who intend to apply for authority to use either loose leaf or computerized books of account and for accounting records. Filing date is before actual use of loose leaf, computerized books of account, and or accounting records. Then we have BIR payment remittance forms. So we'll discuss Form 0605, 1601C, 1601EQ, 1601FQ, 1600PT, 1604C. So let's start with Form 0605. So this is a remittance form or the payment form to be accomplished every time the taxpayer pays second installment payment for income tax, deficiency tax, delinquency tax, registration fees, penalties, advance payment, deposit, installment payments, etc. So filing date is every time a tax payment or penalty is due or an advance payment is made, or upon receipt of a demand letter, assessment, or notice from BIR, upon payment of annual registration fee for a new business and for renewal on or before January 31 of every year. Form 1601C, this is called as the monthly remittance return of income tax withheld on compensation. So this return shall be filed in triplicate by every withholding tax or payer required to deduct and withhold taxes on compensation paid to employees. So filing date, when you are using manual from January to November, it should be 10th of the following month. So for example, the computation of tax is January, so you need to pay it on February 10. So December 15 is of the following month. For example, the compensation is on December 30, so the computation of the withholding tax should be on January 15. For a large and non-large taxpayer using computerized, so you start with 15 of the following end of the month on Group A, and Group D is 14 days following end of the month, Group C is 13 days following end of the month, Group D is 12 days following end of the month, and Group E is 11 days following end of the month. What about the 1601EQ? It's a quarterly remittance return of creditable income tax withheld, or it is also called as expanded withholding tax. We need to deduct and withhold taxes on income payments subject to expanded or creditable withholding tax. So it should be filed not later than the last day of the month following the close of the quarter, during which withholding was made. For example, it was done during first quarter, so payment will be on or before end of the year. Form 1601FQ or final tax. It is a quarterly remittance return of final income tax withheld to deduct and withhold taxes on income tax payments subject to final withholding tax. It shall be filed and the tax payment remitted not later than the last day of the month following the close of the quarter during which withholding was made. So example is second quarter, so you need to pay it on or before end of July. Next is BIR Form 1600 PT. PT means percentage taxes, so it is a monthly remittance return of other percentage taxes withheld. So this return shall be filed in triplicate by the following. So Form 1600 can be filed by government offices, bureau agency or instrumentalities, local government unit, and government-owned or controlled corporation relative to the money payments made to individual, corporation, partnership, association, and other juridical artificial entities. Number 2 is payers to personal, natural, or juridical subject to percentage tax under Section 116 of the Tax Code. It shall be filed and the tax paid on or before the 10th day of the following month in which withholding tax was made. So, for example, the tax was made on February, so it should be paid on March 10. Annual Information Return of Income Tax Withheld on Compensation or Alphalist is the summary of yearly withholding tax of an employee, whether it's from private, government, or agency offices. So, filing should be on or before January 31 of the year following the calendar year. So, for example, the calendar year is 2020, then you need to file it on January 31, 2021. So, next is we have BIR Income Tax Return Individual. So, we have Form 1701Q, 1700, 1701, 1708. So, let's start with 1701Q. So, it is a quarterly income tax return for individual, estate, and trust description. So, you need to find out the resident citizen, engage in trade or business or in the practice of profession within and without the Philippines, or a resident alien, non-resident citizen, or non-resident alien individual, engage in trade or business or practice or profession within the Philippines. Number 3 is trustees of a trust, guardian of a minor, executor, administrator of an estate, or any person acting in any fiduciary capacity of any person where such trust, estate, minor, or person is engaged in trade or businesses. So, filing date is 45 days every end of the quarter. Next is we have BIR Form 1700. So, it is an annual income tax return for individual earning purely compensation income, including non-business and non-professional income. This return shall be filed by every resident citizen deriving compensation income from all sources, a resident alien, and non-resident citizen with respect to compensation income from within the Philippines except the following. So, an individual whose taxable income does not exceed 250,000 does not require to file BIR Form 1700. Also, the individual with respect to pure compensation income, an individual whose sole income has been subject to final withholding tax, or a minimum wage earner who is exempt from withholding tax. So, filing date should be filed on or before April 15 of the following year. So, example here is if it's end on December 2020, then the filing will be April 15, 2021. Next is we have BIR Form 1701. It is an annual income tax return for individual, including mixed income earner, estate, and trust. The filing date will be on or before April 15 of the following year. Next is we have BIR Form 1701A. So this is an annual tax return for individual earning income purely from business or from profession. So those under the graduated income tax rate with OSD as mode of deduction, or OR, those who opt to avail the 8% flat rate income tax rate. So filing of BIR Form 1701A is on or before April 15 of the following year. So the example again is, if it ends on December 2020, then you need to pay it on April 15, 2021. And then we have BIR income tax return on partnership and corporation. So we have Form 1702Q, 1702EX, 1702MX, and 1702RT. So what are those? BIR Form 1702Q means quarterly income tax return for corporation, partnership, and other non-individual taxpayer. So this is quarterly return shall be filed by a corporation, partnership, and other non-individual taxpayer, subject only to regular income tax rate of 30%. So it shall be filed with or without payment within 60 days following the close of each of the first 3 quarters of the taxable year, whether calendar year or fiscal year. Then we have BIR Form 1702EX. EX means exempt. So annual income tax return for corporation, partnership, and other non-individual taxpayer exempt under the tax code as amended in Section 30, and those exempted in Section 27 and other special laws with no other taxable income. This is a form where taxpayers are exempted to pay such taxes but still need to file the BIR form to avoid problems. So filing date is on or before April 15 of the following year. So example, it is end of December 2020, so you need to file it on April 15, 2021. Next that we have is BIR Form 1702MX. MX means mix. So it is an annual income tax return for corporation, partnership, and other non-individual with mixed income subject to multiple tax rates or with income tax subject to special preferential rate. So this is a BIR form where you can file your earnings with different income tax rate. So filing date is also before April 15 of the following year. Then we have the RT. So RT means regular income tax rate. So it is an annual income tax return for corporation, partnership, and other non-individual taxpayers subject only to regular income tax rate. So this return shall be filed by a corporation, partnership, and other non-individual taxpayer subject only to regular income tax rate of 30%. So filing will be on or before April 15 of the following year. So this is the end of our discussion. So references is from www.bir.gov.ph. Okay, so again, this is from Ching. Thank you and God bless. Bye-bye.